This video is sponsored by my generous supporters on Patreon. If you're interested in helping out the channel or getting a shout out in one of my videos, be sure to make your way over to patreon.com/JosiahHerring. That's patreon.com/JosiahHerring. Synopsis. We open in the studio where the guys are singing a breakup song, but the Chad Carlos can't relate. James teases him about never being in a relationship, but given who Carlos eventually ends up marrying, I think he got the last laugh. Regardless, a fight breaks out, and not wanting to deal with their bullshit, Gustavo ejects them into the palm woods. They all start looking for a girl to break Carlos's heart, but when that doesn't go as planned, they all split up. Carlos eventually ends up settling for a palm tree, but their date is interrupted when the perfect girl for Carlos crashes into him with a corn dog in one hand and hockey stick in the other. Her name is Sasha, and after they star in a Ninja Sex Party music video together, it's revealed that she's actually an actress hired by Gustavo to break Carlos's heart. When Kelly finds out, she's not happy, and shows a level of rage that only makes me more attracted to her.
That joke may have been a little too much.
The plan shifts into getting Carlos to break up with her, but no matter how hard they try, Carlos is... well, I strive to be that good of a boyfriend one day. Meanwhile, James is helping Camille rehearse for a role, but this only results in them throwing themselves at each other in the passions of performance. They decide they have to tell Logan, but James can't bring himself to do it, leading to Camille accidentally outing herself. Logan nearly punches James, but in a moment of maturity, just decides to storm off. They do eventually get edged on by Katie and Mr. Bitters, who are basically just acting as stand-ins for TV executives that want to inject needless drama into otherwise healthy relationship portrayals. After a PG equivalent to a duel to the death, James and Logan decide that their friendship is way more important than whatever they're fighting over. Logan does decide to break things off with Camille though, but...
So are they back together?
Hard to say. Must be one of those on-again, off-again things.
Eventually Gustavo reveals the truth to Carlos, but Sasha admits that while her feelings for him may have started as staged, after seeing how well he's willing to treat her, no matter how awful she treats him, her feelings have grown to be genuine. She asks him for the chance to have a real relationship with him, and the two start officially dating. Meanwhile, while all of that was happening, Kendall is just trying to have a romantic time with Joe, but their Hollywood schedules are keeping them apart. After being blown off by Joe 3 separate times and even ditching her once himself, Kendall begins to wonder if a relationship with her would even be possible. But luckily, Katie gives him some advice that I know I needed to hear.
Did you really think this was gonna be easy, big brother? Joe's gonna be a TV star, you're gonna be a pop star. You're both really busy, but what's worse? Seeing Joe for 1 minute at a time, or never seeing her at all?
And with that advice in hand, Kendall and Joe show off how you can make any relationship work, regardless of circumstances, as long as you put in the effort. With every plotline wrapped up, we end the episode with a music video for The Boyfriend Song. James ends up entering a polyamorous relationship, and Carlos ends up breaking things off with Sasha because, well, he knows his worth.
I hate corn dogs.
Yeah, this is gonna work out.
Thoughts. So I'm going to be honest here, I'm going off script for this one, because when I first sat down to write this review, I just kind of chalked it up to Season 2 being Season 2. By the time of recording this, the script for the next episode is already written, and I do talk about it more there, so I'm going to save my thoughts on that for that episode specifically. But while I was recording this one, it just kind of finally clicked what this episode was about, and I really wanted to share my thoughts on that specifically. I would argue the through line of this episode is just straight up self-worth and knowing your self-worth. After Logan gets cheated on by Camille, he respects himself enough to end things, even though he still loves her. Throughout the episode, Kendall is frustrated because he feels like Joe is neglecting their relationship, but once he ends up being too busy for her, he sees the other side of the coin, and they both try to make things work on a mutual level. Carlos is kind of a weird one for this instance, because through most of the episode, he doesn't really show signs of knowing his own worth. He just kind of lets Sasha walk all over him, but by the end of the episode, he has a hard boundary and he sticks by that. I really admire how James and Logan are able to put their friendship above what happened. While he wasn't there to see what happened, he knows both his girlfriend and his best friend enough that neither of them would have intentionally done anything to hurt him, and that it was most likely just a heat-of-the-moment thing, which it was. I joked about it in the synopsis, but one of the things I do love about this show is that it really does not use unnecessary drama to tell its stories. Unlike Victorious, where everyone is just toxic to each other and no one likes each other, this is a show that's fully built on family, and found family at that. I just want to take a second to really highlight how Kendall and Joe are really the backbone of this season so far. Even though they had the least amount of focus in this episode, I still had a hard time realizing that they were the C-plot of all things. The actors' chemistry together is phenomenal. They really portray what I would consider to be relationship goals, and I'm sure nothing will happen to break them up. When I originally wrote the script for this episode, I actually gave it a platinum record, but now that I've had time to really soak in what it's about and to really just analyze this episode, I just think that this is a perfect example of the lessons that Big Time Rush teaches us that I talked about in my first essay. So I just think it's natural to give this episode a diamond record. Trivia. This is considered one of the most successful episodes of the show. By what metric? I don't know. That's just what it says on the Wikipedia page. Okay, I did do some digging, and it seems that this might be referring to the amount of total US viewers, although it's still kind of weird that it's specifically said on this episode, since it's technically tied for third with the Christmas special at 5 million viewers. If you're curious at what the number one spot is, it's actually Big Time School of Rock at 6.8 million viewers, so I don't know what makes this one so special to get a trivia fact dedicated to it. Later in the episode, Logan talks about how he plans to get over Camille, and he says he plans on buzz cutting his hair. And while he doesn't go through with it, in Season 3 he does end up getting a flat top, which the wiki wants you to know is a very similar haircut. I got most of this information from the Big Time Rush fan wiki, specifically the blog Big Time Girlfriends. If you want to fact check me, feel free to do so in the comments below. And if it's a big enough slip up on my part, I'll try to pin your comment, assuming I haven't done it to someone else. Once again, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to my generous supporters on Patreon, especially my top supporter, Sherbert. If you would like a piece of custom art like this, then head on over to patreon.com/JosiahHerring and see which tier would suit you the best.